What is up, you Bulgarian mallards? My name is Tony. This is Justin.
Hi.
We are the hosts of Underpaid Gamers.
Mm-hmm.
Today we have a few things for you. I have some news. Here's a surprise. There's a new Men in Black film coming out. We'll talk about that. Some Star Wars Battlefront news. Maybe Red Dead Redemption 2.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're going to talk about Dreamhack and what you all came here for, Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones!
Our review and some things we know. So,
that's right.
As with every episode, we will start with our signature song. Hello. Welcome back
to Underpaid Gamers Podcast.
Woo!
Here we are.
All right. So as I told you, and I will now spoil, Men in Black 4. What do you think? What did you think of the Men in Black series, the trilogy?
Yeah.
Thoughts? Well,
I mean, the first one, obviously, I think the word that comes to mind is that it's a fun show. It's fun sci-fi. You know, there's like serious sci-fi and like horror sci-fi. The Men in Black is fun sci-fi. Or at least it's meant to be. It's a little more fun. At least kind of making fun of some of the tropes, I think, and then having lots of good jokes in there. Will Smith does a great job.
This is when Will Smith was at the peak of his popularity.
I would say so.
Was in the 90s.
Yeah, because he had like Independence Day.
Everything.
And Men in Black. And
a whole bunch of other stuff.
Other things like that. So, I liked it.
But Men in Black, the first one, was a good movie and very popular.
It was.
Especially in the 90s. Men in Black 2 came out, and I think it's very similar along the lines of like Jurassic Park, where the first one was really good, and the second one was like...
It was alright. I mean, it had the same characters in it, so you identified with them.
Yeah.
But it was a little lackluster. Still enjoyable. Still, fun to watch. Like, when it's on TV, like, I've never paid to see that movie. You know what I'm saying? It's like...
Yeah, I don't think I did. I don't know.
I don't think I definitely didn't see it in theaters.
Men in Black 3 had a really cool and trippy
story.
Time travel type
Yeah.
thing, to where Tommy Lee Jones raised Will Smith's character from a baby, which is weird, and it kind of...
It was a weird storyline.
Yeah, but the time travel thing was cool.
It was. It was a nice little refresh on the series.
Anyway, the new lead in Men in Black 4 is rumored to be female.
Uh-oh.
So it will be a female with her husband, and they've worked on the first 3 films, and will work together for the upcoming spinoff.
Wow.
It was also rumored that the Jump Street boys, Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum...
No way.
Might be in Men in Black 4.
Well, they'd probably be like some secondary team that they... Like, that's what I'm thinking. They have to be like side characters. They can't be the main characters.
No, they can't. But it would be so cool.
It would be hilarious if they just
good.
show up with like huge guns in the middle of a fight scene or something.
Yeah.
It would be hilarious.
Come in their Jump Street like attire.
Yeah.
Like on their bicycles from the very first scene of Jump Street.
Yeah.
Or not the first scene, but whatever.
Yeah, I got you. That's funny. That's good.
That's fun. I like those guys. I really do like those guys. Jonah Hill is, I think,
I like them together. I don't like Channing Tatum by himself.
Really?
Because I guess I'm just still not over the beginning of his career. With like all the chick flicks.
Oh.
And how all the girls were like, Channing Tatum. And I'm like, stop it. I'm standing in front of you. All over me instead.
Yeah, but...
A little jealous, I guess.
He's supposed to be Gambit, which will be by himself. Jonah Hill's not going to be in that.
I know. Well, like I said, I think I'm judging him by his early career and not his current place. Speaking
of Marvel entities, this isn't on my notes. This happened to me. I bought a crossword book because sometimes at work can be really slow. Mm-hmm. And I figured I'd try a crossword.
Yeah,
one of the clues was baseballs. It was a five-letter clue.
Okay.
And it was baseball's own Hank blank. So the blank was the 5 letters.
Yeah.
And the first word started with, actually, I don't know. And immediately I thought, Hank McCoy, which is the alter ego of Beast from X-Men.
Yeah. And
not a baseball player.
Yeah.
So I wrote down McCoy.
Yeah.
Didn't work at all. I looked in the back, and it was supposed to be Hank Aaron. I'm like, and it was at that point I realized that I wrote down Beast instead of like a baseball player. And I'm like,
whoops.
Yeah, that's the nerd in me, I guess. But
there it is. Your go-to was the Hulk or the Beast.
Battlefront. Star Wars.
Yes.
Game.
Battle of Jakku.
For the PS4.
Yahoo.
Also for the PC and the Xbox One, but nobody plays it on that.
Apparently.
So for the PS4, is the CEO says that it is the biggest opening of any Star Wars game in history of Star Wars.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, there hasn't been a major Star Wars release in the video game market since, I don't know.
No, that Star Wars PC game.
Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah.
I guess that one, but that one's free to play now. Like, it's free to play, you just pay for benefits. Yeah.
Oh, I don't play on PC, so I don't know.
Yeah, but then that's also another thing, is Battlefront is cross-platforms. And The Old Republic is specifically an MMO.
Cross-platform. I put up finger quotes because, again, nobody plays on Xbox or PC.
Right, but there has to be some sales on that. And I know people who bought it on PC, so...
Did they return it to Steam?
No. They did not. So, yeah.
So, they've been releasing a lot of free DLC, I believe, on Battlefront.
Yeah.
DICE has, which is not common of them.
DICE? Specifically, no.
Yeah.
For sure. I haven't really been playing much this week because I've been busy. But I did download the Battle of Jakku update that apparently I thought I had access to because I pre-ordered it, but it didn't let me play it. Because I don't know. I typed in my code and everything.
What's the Battle of Jakku supposed to be? Is it just another map?
It is another, I think, 3 maps.
Oh. Hold on.
And a new game type. Or 2 new game types. I think it's just 1. But it's some new maps and a new game type. And it's supposed to take place on the Battle of Jakku, which is like this outer rim planet. Kind of like Tatooine, but I guess even less so populated. And it's like this massive battle between the rebellion and the Empire that takes place. That kind of is like the last giant gung-ho, let's do it from the Empire to try and stop the rebellion.
Yeah.
Which fails.
From the rebels?
Yeah, and there's a couple books came out. The Empire fails. There's some of the books that have been released in the new canon talks about it, and I think the famous thing you see in the background, it's in the trailer of Force Awakens, and it's also in the trailer of Battlefront. There's a book called Lost Stars, where the end of it explains how that Star Destroyer that's crashed on the planet in the trailer,
yes,
how it got there, which you see it happen in Battlefront, and you read how it happened, and the main characters, like the captain of that ship is a main character in the book that you read. And it's actually, I really enjoyed Lost Stars by Star Wars Lost Stars. It's a really good book.
A book that isn't true?
No, it is true. It is canon.
Oh, it's canon now?
It is canon. So, I'm interested to see how it looks in Battlefront because I know the story behind why it's crashing and who's on it and how they're supposed to be escaping. I wonder if they're going to have any nods to the book by even just mentioning the name of the captain, because that would be sweet. I would love that.
I assume the captain has a big role.
I mean, yeah, she's crashing it into the planet.
Intentionally?
Yes.
Or she's like, I got shot, I'm going to land.
Intentionally.
Oh.
Because,
Kamikaze?
No, she's a loyal Imperial, but it got boarded, essentially. And she had lost the majority of the ship to the crew, or to the rebels, and there was they had destroyed the self-destruct mechanism, so her being loyal, she
interesting,
flew it into the planet to keep the rebels from having it.
Wow. Yay, Imperials.
Yeah, well, it gets more complicated because the rebel leading the assault is her love.
Her love?
Yeah, her love. The love of her life. It's a really interesting story. I've never read a book like that in the Star Wars universe because it was like a romance starting from when they were kids and how they were friends on this planet, and then they it jumps through the timeline of Star Wars, and so it starts pre A New Hope.
Yeah,
and then you see them experience
post Revenge of the Sith.
Post Revenge of the Sith, you see them experience all the major events of the original trilogy, and so the
events of their life,
First
kiss, prom,
yeah, true. Not the prom.
Driver's ed.
Well, sort of a prom, actually.
Pimple-faced acne kids.
Don't remember pimple-faced acne kids.
Well, there was a prom.
There was a prom-type situation.
Band class, I assume.
No. It goes faster.
They learned the Cantina band song.
Yep. That one.
So they went through all that.
So it's a good book.
And she's like, well, I love the Imperials. And he's like, the Rebels are pretty cool.
What you just described is the first 4 chapters of the book. So maybe 10% of it. And the rest of it's them getting older and then how they split ways.
Wow.
But they still love each other. It's like classic star-crossed lovers because one's a rebel and one's an Imperial.
Is it
both loyal to the causes but loyal to each other at the same time?
It sounds like if you have a high school girlfriend and you both go to separate schools.
Oh my gosh, that's essentially it. And you go to the basketball game.
Yeah,
who do you root for?
She's on the other team.
She is.
Like she's on the other bleachers, and you're on these bleachers,
and you see each other.
And you got face paint, and she's got face paint, and then you just
know.
You make eye contact, and then she wrecks the ship into the planet, and the game's over.
Exactly, and everybody dies in the gymnasium.
Women drivers.
Wow, that was not very nice. Well, I know there are plenty of women drivers that are good drivers.
And also some that run ships into planets.
True.
Hearthstone,
nice segue.
Their world championship is going to be $1 million. $1 million.
$1 million.
Exactly.
They didn't see my pinky.
They didn't, but it's there. So there's going to be a world championship, I think, in the beginning of 2016.
That's exciting.
It's going to be like a Sweet 16 type thing where they have 4 players from each sector.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do that.
Each region.
BlizzCon. No, I don't think it's at BlizzCon. But they're putting that one together. Speaking of $1 million, Halo World Championships is at $1.7 million.
Wow.
Which is up $200,000 from the last time we talked about it.
That's a lot of money.
Again, it's crowdfunded.
Which I love.
Which is awesome because it gets people in. So they're bringing that up. So maybe we'll get to $2 million even by the time. That, again, is the beginning of 2016 is when that tournament is.
Sweet.
Red Dead Redemption. Did you play it?
I did. I actually...
Did you beat it?
I essentially obsessed over the game because I got it on a Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally beat it in 2 days.
Because it was so good.
It was so good. It was one of those games where I woke up, played the game, ate meals, but as soon as I was done with the meal, went back to playing the game, and did it from when I woke up to when I went to bed. I did it in 2 days. I put over 20 hours in 2 days and beat the game.
And it's fantastic.
And it was amazing.
John Marston is awesome.
The storytelling was great.
Yes.
Game mechanics were great.
Yes. You felt like a real cowboy.
You did!
Because
it was crazy.
You'd eventually level up your shooting, so you could slow down time and then aim and put tick markers on places, and then every tick marker you put in your revolver reflected a shot. Mm-hmm. So as soon as you resume time, it would shoot it all real quick, like you would expect a cowboy to do.
Exactly.
Really fun.
So you didn't move normal speed.
Yeah.
When they were slow, it was kind of a cool way to do it.
Well, no, you would move. Everyone would move the same speed,
right?
But your reticule, you could aim faster. Mm-hmm. So then you could if there's 5 guys in front of you, you just put a little X marker on each of their head, and then boom, 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 they're all dead. Very reminiscent of. I would compare it to the Iron Man, the first movie, where he shows up at the terrorist town,
right? And then
they have all the hostages, and then the side rockets come out of his armor, his shoulder blades, and just shoots everybody.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I feel like.
Right. It is. It is very similar, and that's why I like it because it doesn't make you feel like he's moving super fast. Yeah. It's just him. It's like him thinking it through.
It's like him just being super accurate.
Like you're being his instincts.
Yeah. But really cool. 2 things I specifically remember from that. There was a trophy to where you had to get a $5,000 bounty, I believe. I remember doing that. The first city you go to is Armadillo, where there's a pub, and it's a 2-story pub. You can go up to this. There's a balcony, and essentially I just went up there and I just shot one person, and then that made everybody aggro onto you. You just shoot everybody, kill everybody in town. Then eventually there'd be the marshals would come and ride on their horses and come in, and you kill all of them. And at that point you have maybe 1,000 bounty. Wow! I did that for 5 more times till I got the trophy. But it took me an hour. And the marshals get harder. The higher your bounty goes, the harder they get. So it was a little difficult. And then to get the trophy, I think you have to use a pardon letter to get rid of 5,000 bounty. Yeah. Which is really 100 people dead. So you use a pardon letter.
So you're a massacre. Yeah. You're going to massacre the people.
So you use a pardon letter to have people be yeah, you didn't murder those people. But it was fun because, another thing I didn't think about. Red Dead Redemption, old-timey, cowboyish. Yes. You can play as a good guy or as a bad guy. You have a lasso, which is a very big mechanic part of it. It is a big mechanic. You can lasso people, you can lasso horses, cattle, whatever, but you can lasso, another trophy is you can lasso a woman and tie her up and throw her down on train tracks. Oh my gosh. And then if the train hits her, you get a trophy for it. Oh my gosh, that's so bad. Did you never do it? I don't think I did. Oh, it was awesome. The train would run over and she'd blow up because the train's going so fast. Gosh, that's so but terrible. You felt like a real Western outlaw. Right. Which is real cool. Did anybody come to save her? No. Damn. Nope. That's the real Wild West. Because you could lasso people and just put them on the back of your horse and just ride off into the sunset. Mm-hmm. And then just Well, you could drag people behind your horse with a lasso.
Yeah, and you
which
kill
is
them
legit.
Yeah.
You'd eventually kill them, but you like lasso them around the feet, and then you just take off with your horse, and you're still holding onto the rope, so there's some drag behind that horse. So funny.
Classic.
Anyway, Red Dead Redemption number 2
Dose
has been hinted at by a couple of factors, a couple of people.
I've always wondered why it's been so long since we've had one. Because, all the gaming companies, they just, make a game and then milk it for years. Mm-hmm. So I was wondering when they were going to do that with Red Dead.
Well, there's been 2 Grand Theft Autos come out since Red Dead.
Right.
4 and 5.
Yeah.
So it's impressive that they took this long. However, Red Dead Redemption versus Grand Theft Auto 4, Red Dead Redemption takes the cake.
You think so?
Yes. It would be more of a contest if it was Grand Theft Auto 5 versus Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
There was a multiplayer aspect of Red Dead that I never actually got to play because there just wasn't a big community on the PS3 to play it on. Mm-hmm. But there was a leak on Twitter. I think 2 different people. One person's like, I hate my boss and I got fired, so I'm telling you all the secrets I know.
There you go.
And another one was someone spelled out RDR2, which would be Red Dead Redemption 2. After it was an Ask Me Anything. Mm-hmm. Ex Rockstar employee Daniel Ross, who dropped a cryptic hint on an AMA. So maybe look forward to Red Dead Redemption 2, which would be wonderful.
It would be.
I don't know necessarily how they would do it. I think the story from the first one was spectacular. Mm-hmm. He was a gangster. He was an outlaw, a gangster, and then almost his family was taken hostage. Mm-hmm. And then he had to go through the whole story to save them, kind of.
Yeah.
Which is a great story. He had to work for the FBI and do stuff like that. The second one, hopefully, will be just as good.
I hope so. For me, the storytelling in the game, I remember at the end, I was emotional with how they ended it.
Yep.
I was legitimately emotional. And I felt the storytelling was just unparalleled at that time. I think the only game that does a better job at storytelling for me would be The Last of Us on the PS3. Those 2 are probably the best, which I obviously have a limited experience because I haven't played every single game out for the PS3. But out of the ones I played, in terms of narrative, I think Red Dead Redemption and The Last of Us had a really great story. A little more linear than other games. We're not talking about Bethesda games with so many different paths you can take.
Yeah.
But I think when you do have those games with all the paths, it doesn't tell as good of a narrative because they have so many options for it.
Because there's so many narratives, you can't really just focus on one.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think The Last of Us and the Red Dead Redemption are both kind of in the top, at least the top 5, if not the top 2 of storytelling games
that you've played.
That I've played.
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect is good.
But you don't think story? You think gameplay is good, but story less so?
I think Mass Effect 1 was good. It was like a classic sci-fi story. Mass Effect 2, I had trouble connecting with some of the new villains.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it also suffers from you have so many options in front of you. And because it's nice because you do have those options. You can play the character how you want it to. Mm-hmm. But however, when you do that, I think it hurts. It doesn't hurt, but I guess it lessens what you can do with the story because you have to the authors of the story, they have to adapt the story to all of those different types of answers that you can give and all the dialogues and everything. So I think it's harder to tell a wrapping up narrative, a complete narrative when you have all these things to account for. It's complex. And they do a great job with it. It's not that it's bad. I just think if you can do more if you have a specific story you're going through. Mm-hmm. At least you more foreshadowing, more specific, because you know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And how the character's going to react.
Sure. And here's a transition.
Segue.
Harrison Ford, who I had always thought of as very against Star Wars, even though he's in 4 of them, if you count the Christmas episode.
Right. I mean, there's plenty of stories of Harrison Ford not being too fond of
Star Wars. However, he has been quoted to actually like The Force Awakens and think that it's a good movie. I don't have his actual quote, but I do have that he thinks it's going to be a good Force Awakens movie.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams was quoted as saying that he was more nervous ever when he presented the movie to Disney executives than ever before in his life.
Yeah. Apparently... Well, I mean, what they spent $4 billion?
Something like that.
I think that's the number. I read the article yesterday. He said he was so nervous because if they didn't like it, he had spent $4 billion. Right. And Disney, they are a huge media empire, and they're very protective of their brands.
Yeah, I think so.
And their trademarks. And so he was a little bit worried that they just said they liked it because they'd spent that much money on it.
That's
so
what I meant. So
like it.
We love it.
I hope it's good.
And Disney's turning over in his frozen corpse grave.
Yes, he probably is.
Because he's frozen under Disney World. Under the castle.
Obviously. Harrison Ford, though, with Star Wars, early on, he really clashed with Lucas with the script, I've found. Yep. And a lot of that comes from just, he said, poor dialogue. Mm-hmm. And I know he ad-libbed a lot. Obviously, the most famous ad-lib he had was, I know.
I know, when Leia was like, I love you.
He's like, I know. That's great.
Which is one of his best lines.
Yeah. And I think it's obvious, too, if you look at any interviews with him in the past where he talks about Star Wars and Indiana Jones. I think his favorite character, action movie character he's played is Indiana Jones. Like, I saw some quotes from him.
He's a hunk.
Oh, I mean, Indiana Jones is awesome.
People like Han Solo more than Indiana Jones. And if I reflected on it and thought critically, I think I like Indiana Jones more. Yeah. I feel like Indiana Jones is better in a fight. I think Indiana Jones is smarter. They still have that kind of rough and tumble, kind of a rogue style.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
But I think Indiana Jones, in a fight, would beat Han Solo.
See, I don't know. In a fight, I do agree that Indiana Jones is more intelligent and smarter. I think he is smarter. Even in a fight, he's smarter than Han Solo. And I think that's part of the reason. I think one of the quotes he actually had was that, why would anybody like Han Solo? He's dumb. I think is something he said.
Probably.
Because, I mean, what is his character in Star Wars? He's a rogue. He's a smuggler. I think if we're playing prison rules, Han Solo gets it.
Why?
Because he's a smuggler.
What is he going to do in prison rules against Harrison Ford, against Indiana Jones?
He can cheat.
With what?
Chewbacca.
What?
I mean, prison rules means there is no rules. You can do whatever you want. So I think, like, if they both approach a fight and...
Then Indiana Jones is going to open up the Ark of the Covenant, and Han Solo's eyes are going to melt out of his head.
Nah, dude.
What do you mean, no?
Han Solo doesn't have a soul, so he's fine.
It doesn't have to do with soul. You got to close your eyes, Miriam. Keep your eyes closed.
Essentially, you're just saying, would Harrison Ford beat Harrison Ford in a story? Because I've always imagined that both Han Solo and Indiana Jones is actually how Harrison Ford is all the time.
The same person.
And I kind of feel
you
like...
think they're the same person?
I think even their characters in the show are similar in a lot of ways, besides the intelligence factor, because definitely Indiana Jones has a lot more... You know, he's presented as more intelligent. Yeah. But they both, like you said, have that kind of rough-edged kind of...
I think Indiana Jones is presented as more masculine and more, like, sexually appealing. Because in one of the first movies of Indiana Jones, he has a student that writes "Love You" on her eyelids.
Well, yeah, for sure.
And then the only girl in Star Wars is Leia,
right?
Who eventually makes out with her brother and is like, "Well, I don't like him anymore. I'm gonna like this scruffy looking nerf herder."
Right. Well, I think part of that too, though, like Indiana Jones comes out after Star Wars. Harrison Ford isn't an established big actor until Star Wars is already out. So the character and Han Solo is not. He's one of the main actors, but he's not the only main actor, right? Like, in Indiana Jones, it's about Indiana Jones. Star Wars is not about Han Solo. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's one of the main characters, but it's not about him.
You think it's about Luke?
I think it's the story of the Skywalkers.
I think it's about the Empire.
Well,
the story of the Skywalkers.
Are you talking about... So, now we're getting into definitions. We're talking about Star Wars as a whole? Star Wars Episode 4?
4 and onward.
4 and onward?
New Hope. Empire Strikes Back.
I would say collectively, it's a story about family, Skywalkers. The Skywalkers, really.
Okay.
Because I mean, you can make the argument that 4 alone is not about family because it's not revealed that Darth Vader is Luke's father, which I don't even think that was the original intention in that movie. That one is obviously, I think, a story of...
but Luke doesn't want to get revenge for his aunt and uncle being burned alive.
That's true.
That's
true. But that's family. Like that's enough motivation for him to get off the planet. But I don't know. I really think it's about the story of the Skywalkers. And I think even if you throw the new trilogy in there as canon, which it technically is, It's all about. It's just the Skywalkers, and there are plenty of things around it going on. I mean, there's a narrative. It's all about the government too, right? This ongoing cycle of
trade embargoes,
of control versus freedom, and democracy versus totalitarianism. And there are a lot of themes in Star Wars, which makes it, I think, enjoyable because you can see all those themes that we can all connect with in different ways, like space Nazis and space cowboys.
Themes you can connect with episodes 4 through 6, not so much 1 through 3.
Right.
They talk about trade, tariffs, and embargoes, and people are like, I'm confused. I don't care about these council meetings. Mm-hmm. Show me lightsaber fights. Show me
which they do.
Han Solo.
And the lightsaber fights in the new trilogy are amazing. Duel of the Fates, amazing. Lightsaber battle of Revenge of the Sith, amazing choreography. Right. That's the redeeming factor, I think.
Or the battles.
It's the choreography.
But it's all CGI. I don't know.
Obviously they have the advantage of better technology, for sure. But anyways, Harrison Ford apparently used to not like Star Wars, but he did, at the most recent Comic-Con that he was on a panel for, he volunteered to go. He got there apparently early. He stayed, and he teared up when he was talking about how much he was thankful for Star Wars because it really did launch his career. Apparently he teared up. And he voluntarily stayed after the panel was up and just walked around and talked to people and was generally jovial about the whole thing. Which apparently in the past he hasn't been that way. He's felt kind of forced into it and he leaves. So
felt what?
Forced.
Force sensitive? Han Solo's force sensitive?
The Force Awakens!
Theory! Underpaid Gamers exclusive!
All right, let's segue here.
All right, so I got this news here. StarCraft player Flash, who was referred to as the god of StarCraft, has retired at the ripe old age of 23.
I'm so old. If he's retiring.
So he's retired. You might have seen this meme. He is a StarCraft player. He actually went to a tournament and measured the distance between the edge of the desk and his keyboard in millimeters with a plastic ruler that he brought with him. That circled around? That circled a little bit. I don't watch too much StarCraft. I don't play PC games, but I think.
Oh, Hero, yeah.
He was huge.
He is. I've seen plenty of his replays before on Husky StarCraft.
Well, it's not Hero. It's
oh, never mind.
Flash. I think.
I'm sure I've seen those too.
Yep. His real name is Lee Young-ho. He started playing in 1998.
Wow.
It looks like. So he's probably pretty young.
He says he's 23, so.
Yeah.
I consider that young.
His rival is Jae Dong.
Nice. That's crazy.
So, 23, retiring. I didn't find how much winnings he has accumulated. Mm-hmm. But
I'm sure it's enough.
To retire. Yeah. What do you do after you retire from video games? I assume you just.
I feel like you would. If I had that situation,
do you stream? What happens?
I feel like I would invest money and do business ventures and
a video game business.
Yeah, potentially. Really, whatever you want. You have so much money at your disposal. Why don't you use it for either good or for what you
evil
or evil? Let's build the Death Star. Makes me think of Mark Zuckerberg because he just basically decided with his wife that they were going to give away over the course of his life the $45 billion that he has from Facebook.
Really?
He's going to give it away in different business ventures. Him and his wife created a new corporation that is just them two, and they're going to use that to invest in all sorts of things and try and spur up technology and help certain causes and
the Oculus Rift.
Yeah, I think he said something about he just had a kid and he wants to change the world for his kid or something.
Huh.
It was kind of a cool article. I'll check it out if you're ever interested in things that are going on in the world besides.
If you're interested in finance,
if you're interested,
or Facebook, something that you probably use. I think Facebook is declining.
It is with the younger population.
Yeah, Twitter,
for sure.
Instagram is what people are using now.
Yeah, and Snapchat.
Snapchat, Facebook. The old reliable Facebook.
The workhorse of social media.
It'll be there for a long time. But one of the most successful websites ever created.
Yep. Amazon.com, another one.
Google.
eBay.
Amazon, Google, eBay, Facebook.
Those are the giants. Yahoo's still around.
Yahoo's still around, but they're... AOL, probably on there.
Yeah, but they've declined too.
If you're looking for technology, you're looking for anything, finance.
Yep. Check it out.
Facebook's the place.
So, is that all the segueing we
That's
got?
all the news. We had the segue. I have the segue for. However,
that's good timing. What we just did there.
I know, from StarCraft directly to Dreamhack, almost as if it was intentional.
Dreamhack.
So the Dreamhack Winter 2015 tournament was going on. So many games, so many winners. There was CS:GO. There was the Rocket Legacy of the Void, which is StarCraft 2 players. Asus ROG. Let's pretend like I know what that is. Wow. Smash was there. Hearthstone was there. Street Fighter. All these cool things. Everybody winning money. Of the games that were played, we are most passionate about Smash.
Yes.
So we'll save that for last.
Okay. So let's talk about what we know.
So let's talk. CS:GO. Again, Fnatic and Luminosity in the grand finals.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Fnatic wins it over Luminosity, winning their team $100,000.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
That is a lot of money.
That is a cuss ton of money.
I could use that.
Legacy of the Void here, the StarCraft players.
That's the newest expansion. It's the third expansion in the series. Or no, it's the second, because the first one was the Zerg expansion. This one is the Protoss expansion. So, I think it's the final expansion of StarCraft 2, from what I understand. Solar
wins over Parton G. I don't have as much. Let me see if I can find it. I'll find out how much money he won. He won $20,000 over second place, which won $10,000. So not a bad chunk of change.
First or second, you're walking home with
enough
for sure.
Heroes of the Storm was there. Another win for Fnatic. Second place was Team Liquid.
Mm-hmm.
So good for Team Liquid showing up. They won two things this tournament. I'll mention the other one. Fnatic won again $12,000. Liquid won $7,500. Nice. So again, good money in this. I didn't mention this. This is all European.
Okay.
These are U.S. dollar amounts,
but
it was in Europe.
It's in euros?
Yeah. No.
Pounds?
In Europe, these are U.S. dollar amounts.
Okay. So they got euros when they got there.
I don't know.
Who knows?
They're showing a whole bunch of checks. I can't tell if it's euros. No, it looks like U.S. dollars.
Okay, there you go.
So who knows? Smash. Let's talk about it.
Okay, Smash. You follow everybody.
I follow everybody on Smash, and I'm addicted to it. I watched the tournament. You didn't watch the tournament. So you tell me what you thought, what you saw, and then I'll fill in the blanks.
So Dreamhacks. The only thing I heard about it was I have a tweet. I follow just a few people in the Smash community, and that's just out of pure laziness because I just haven't clicked the button to follow or search for the other people. But I follow Hungerbox and a few other people, and I just saw a tweet randomly about how he won $10,000. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Good job, Hungerbox. And so that's my entire story about Dreamhack. But I know you obviously pay attention. I like diddle a little bit in Smash. Like I'll watch it sometimes on YouTube. But I don't like obsess over it. I enjoy playing it.
Although we haven't,
in at least a month.
Literally since Black Ops 3 came out, we have not played Smash.
Because we played Black Ops 3. That's so much fun.
I know.
Every time. So hopefully, if you ever play Black Ops 3, you'll see us. Because we'll be top 2. And our emblems.
We made emblems.
We made emblems with the Underpaid Gamers podcast. And we always freak out. And we go, Underpaid Gamers podcast! Every time we win. It's hilarious. Because nobody can hear us.
The Black Ops 3, there is the winner's circle, which always has the top 3 players of the winning team. And generally, it's me and Justin at 1 and 2.
Or
1 and 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
So both of our emblems will say Underpaid Gamers Podcast, and we're always at a party together. Yeah. So we're like, Underpaid Gamers Podcast!
And we always freak out about it. And then like Kill Cams too have it in there, and then we're always like, we're loving it.
See, I think that has actually affected our listens. Really? Because the day I put it on, we got like 20 extra listens that day. Wow. Yeah. Which we're talking about. So it's good for us.
It is good for us.
We enjoy that. Anyway, back to Smash. Is that all that you remember?
That's all I know. That he won $10,000.
So Hungrybox wins over Armada in Armada's home continent.
Oh, wow.
Armada has won so many tournaments recently. Mm-hmm. He won Smash the Summit. He won Big House 5. There was one more that I cannot seem to remember right now. It was in my notes, but it's like 5 pages away, so I'm not going to look at it.
That's fine.
Hungrybox hasn't won much recently. He did tell a story about how he got a personal sports trainer that he was friends with that lived with him for like a month before the tournament.
Really?
And literally they just grinded out Smash.
Wow.
And like the sports trainer was like, listen, it's a mental game. You got to break that mental block and then you'll win. You're like, you'll do better. So he's like eating healthy, all this stuff. And it paid off. Like he won. He beat Armada in singles finals. But before that, Hungrybox and Axe took doubles over Shroomed and MacD, which is impressive because Shroomed and MacD beat Armada and Android, and Armada and Android are both Swedish, and they are both brothers. So Armada and Android are brothers to each other. They win doubles consistently. Armada wins almost everything all the time. So it's impressive that Hungrybox and Axe won. Specifically, Hungrybox plays Jigglypuff, and Axe plays Pikachu.
That seems so weird.
Characters you don't ever see.
I know.
But they are the best at both of them. Wow. Like, if you've ever watched...
Like, individually the best.
If you watch Axe play Pikachu, you'll be like, how the heck does this ever happen? He beat Silent Wolf. He four-stock Silent Wolf in under a minute on Fountain of Dreams.
That's ridiculous.
As Pikachu, which is crazy. So Hungrybox and Axe won doubles. And then Hungrybox himself won singles over Armada, winning him $10,000, not counting the doubles money. Hungrybox gave a very emotional speech afterwards. I guess there was some drama with his father, and his father's like, you'll never amount to anything. You'll never win anything.
What a jerk.
And his father like passed away right before Hungrybox won at Dreamhack.
Wow.
So it's incredible. Mango was at Dreamhack. Leffen was at Dreamhack.
Yeah.
Armada, Hungrybox. So big contenders. Leffen, surprisingly, got like 9th.
Wow.
Leffen, probably one of the favorites to win, if not get first or second.
Yeah. He
went out like a buster and got 9th.
I wonder if Hungrybox's dad suffers from the same thing that I suffer from, but when I talk to, like, pre-millennials, and I talk about how, like, esports is a growing thing, or I talk about gaming tournaments and the money involved.
So people older than us is what you're saying.
People older than millennials.
Yeah.
They like judge it so hard, like it's such a waste. Like I was just talking to some of my family about it at Thanksgiving, and they just like acted like that was so dumb. It's like the dumbest thing ever. That
why don't people watch other people play games?
Yeah, that's exactly the question.
Football,
I know.
basketball,
I was like,
hockey,
what's
baseball.
the point of watching a basketball team? It's because they're really skilled at what they do, and it's entertaining. And it just like it makes me upset sometimes because they just like as soon as you say it, they just like think it's so dumb.
They roll their eyes.
Yeah, it's not legitimate. It's valid. People are spending money on it. Like it's
there
enjoyable.
Was a video I gave to you on Facebook. I highly doubt you watched it.
I'm pretty good at that. Not watching videos.
It was a West Balls video where they actually like took like 15-second clips and counted how many inputs he puts on his controller. Mm-hmm. And generally, his inputs are at 6 per second or higher, which is incredible.
That is
when you're only using you're using a game controller,
right?
Like people that play StarCraft on a PC have 6 inputs per second.
It's crazy, and
they have all 10 fingers to use.
Right?
You do not have that on Smash. You don't use all 10 fingers. So Smash is incredible.
4 fingers,
4 or 5 or 6.
Right? Some people do.
Some people do the claw. But yeah, Mango was there. West Balls again was there. Plup did really well. Duck, who is an American player, knocked out Leffen, which is funny. There was a money match. SFAT, $1,000 money match. SFAT versus Leffen. For a money match, for people that don't understand, it is you put up money of your own. So if I was going to money match Justin right now for $5, I would put $5 like into the pot, and you put $5 into the pot. Whoever wins gets the pot, which is $10. So the $1,000 money match is $1,000 in the pot from SFAT, $1,000 from Leffen. Whoever wins that gets the $2,000 pot.
Wow.
Leffen has been the victor of numerous $1,000 money matches.
Yeah.
The most famous maybe would be against Chillin' Dude, who called him out, and Leffen straight up 5-gamed him, 5-0.
Wow.
Because generally money matches, at least for $1,000, is first person to 5, as opposed to like best of 5. So they play 5 games. Leffen destroyed Chillin' Dude 5-0, which is ridiculous.
That's just disrespectful.
Mango and Leffen have done a $1,000 money match. Leffen beat Mango.
Wow.
In that. Then now, recently, the most recent one I can think of is SFAT versus Leffen, where SFAT went out like a buster again.
Mm-hmm.
But Leffen's good to look at. But however, Leffen still got 9th at this tournament again on his own home continent because he's Sweden. He's Swedish. So there's a lot of American players here, which is cool.
Yeah, I like that. Go America.
It looks like Plup, I believe. Plup got 3rd. Plup started off as a Samos player, then switched to Sheik.
Interesting.
And he has been destroying
those girls.
Sheik. Yes. He has been destroying a Sheik. It looks like he got 3-0'd in losers finals by Armada, and then Hungrybox. Hungrybox was in the winners bracket, it looks like, and then Armada reset the bracket, and then Hungrybox 3-1'd him.
Wow.
Armada playing as Fox almost
20XX.
Yeah. Well, he 3-0'd Plup as Peach, and then played as Fox against Hungrybox's Jigglypuff. But that matchup's a lot better for Fox than it is for Peach, because Peach just floats more.
It does. She does. She's a floater.
She's a floaty. So yeah, that's Smash. We love to talk about it. I love to talk about it, so that's why we talk most about it. The other games are definitely valid. Again, like Fnatic took over $100,000 as a team in 2 different games.
Mm-hmm.
Hungrybox is sponsored by Team Liquid. So Team Liquid got 2nd in Heroes of the Storm, 1st in Smash Singles, and 1st in Smash Doubles, so that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Alliance sponsors Armada. He got 2nd, so not bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to the main topic of today, Jessica Jones.
Jessica freaking Jones.
So,
Netflix original.
Marvel's newest property.
Yep.
Marvel. Netflix teamed up, make Jessica Jones very similar to how they did with Daredevil, which was fantastic.
Yep.
My thoughts on Jessica Jones was I thought it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the first couple episodes, maybe from episode 1 to 5, was very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a grind. And then you kind of, like... You couldn't watch more than, like, 1 episode at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And then towards the end, I'm like, oh, I can watch, like, 2 now.
Yeah.
Like, kind of cliffhanger type things.
Mm-hmm.
What I really like about it is it is not a superhero origin story.
It is nice. It's like the opposite of that, actually.
Yes. And what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is it takes place after she, from what I understand, is a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
She tries to be a superhero for a while, and then she stops and becomes a PI, private investigator, and that's when the show picks up.
Yeah.
Is right there. So you don't actually really know her origin at all. Actually, you don't even know she really has powers in the first episode. Really,
first couple episodes.
I mean, she does like a couple things. You're like, okay, she definitely isn't normal because I think she jumps up a couple stories, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
So she can jump. That's her power.
Yeah.
Like eventually, like if you don't know anything about it beforehand, it takes a while for you to figure out what she actually does.
Yep. Because
I don't think the story really is about her powers.
No.
And I don't know. I felt like I had a similar experience with you. I think it definitely has a slow burn. Like, especially in the beginning, it's like, really a drag.
Which is funny, because she's an alcoholic. Almost.
Yep. I mean, she definitely is.
Yeah. In the comics, Jessica Jones is, like, kind of a beat-down superhero. To be more specific, she, when she was younger, she got into an accident with her family. Mm-hmm. She got, like, radioactive goo all over her, as per the Marvel standard. Mm-hmm. Became...
Gamma radiation, right?
Not her.
That's gotta be it.
Became super. She has the ability, super strength. Mm-hmm. I think she even heals a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
She has the ability, like, limited ability to fly. And can definitely jump very far, but has a limited ability to fly.
Yeah.
So then she became Jewel, who was a superhero. Failed at that pretty bad. And then that's where it picks up, is after that, she's like, well, I've tried helping people, I can't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. Specifically, according to the story of the comics, and I believe according to the story of the Marvel, of the Netflix show, she was helping people, and then the Purple Man, who is Kilgrave in the show,
yep,
took her over and then made her do things that she didn't want to do, so she felt bad, so she's no longer a hero, kind of like laying low.
Yeah, like she's broken.
In the comics, after she is Kilgraved, as they say it in the show, there's a few tie-overs with X-Men.
Yeah.
To where Jean Grey, like, kind of gives her, like, a stronger mind, so she won't ever be mind controlled again by Kilgrave.
So, I think that brings up the topic of Kilgrave. How did you feel that David Tennant did portraying Kilgrave?
It was very interesting, because he's normally pretty jovial. And normally not a bad guy. Like,
he's like the most famous doctor. Him and Matt Smith are like At least the most current doctors that everyone loves.
So he's not a bad guy. So it's hard to picture him as a bad guy role.
Yeah.
I think there are some very dark segments in the show. Spoilers from here on out.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
So there are some things like, obviously his power is persuasion. And in the show, it's presented as he tells people what to do, they immediately do it. And they are conscious of them doing it. They're conscious that they don't want to do it. But there's an overwhelming desire for them to do whatever it is. So there's one scene where a guy is bugging Kilgrave, David Tennant, and he's like, go look at that fence forever. And the guy goes looks at the fence. He's like, oh, okay, I'll go look at this fence.
Yeah.
Pans back to him like 24 hours later, and he's like sitting there, like tears running down his face. His eyes are puffy. And he looks tired, like pee stains on his pants because he had to use the bathroom.
Right. Right.
So it's that kind of thing where he's like, I don't want to do this, but I have a strong desire internally that I have to do this. I can't stop doing this because you told me.
Yeah.
It turns out that it's actually a pheromone that Kilgrave gives off, which then interacts with people, their consciousness or whatever, makes them do things. So it literally could be anything, make people stop talking.
Right.
It gets really dark.
It does get really dark towards the end.
So it'll be like
kind of gory sometimes too.
Yeah, there's his parents, Kilgrave's parents, come into it.
There's a bad relationship between Kilgrave and his parents.
Yes. I guess specifically for that, it's when Kilgrave was younger, he was diagnosed with a mental brain cancer type thing.
It's like a disease or something that affects the brain.
Yeah. So his parents were trying to fix it because his parents were scientists, and they would put him through all these tests, and they'd like do this like spinal
tap thing. It's like take out the brain fluid things, the pressure.
So it was very painful for him, and they got it all on video. And then eventually, Kilgrave, David Tennant, was like, "Wait a second!" And I think when he was 10, he like told his parents to leave him alone or whatever. So his parents like had to leave him alone. Turns out though, his power only lasts for like 12 hours. Yeah. So, like, he could tell you, go look at that wall, and then 12 hours after that, you'd be like, oh, I can go do whatever I want now.
Right. If you realize it, though. Because I think, like, it showed it kind of like as it's a lessening thing, that over time it, like, fades away. Yeah. But I feel like there are times where, like, Jessica Jones, when it flashes back, it'd been over 12 hours, and I guess she says, well, she almost kills herself, so never mind. I take it back.
No, she doesn't kill herself.
Well, she's trying to almost escapes.
Well, she almost escapes. She's jumping off, and she sees this hallucination of like a white horse. I'm like, what the heck is that?
I was so confused by that.
But then Kilgrave tells her to do something again. Yeah. So I don't know if it's like if he tells you to do something once, and then it's 12 hours from there, or every time he tells you something, it's an additional 12 hours. Yeah. But essentially, Kilgrave was in love with Jessica Jones specifically. And this is the big turning point. Because after that 12 hours, Jessica Jones finally got the power to do whatever she wanted. Yeah. And Kilgrave knows his limitations and knew that after 12 hours...
He did that on purpose.
Jessica Jones did not run away. And because of that, he thought there was a strong desire for her to be with him. And that's his whole motivation through the whole thing, is that he wants to get back Jessica Jones because he thought that Jessica Jones had something for him, like love or whatever.
Like a legitimate thing, too, which is kind of interesting because he controls everybody. Yeah. He gets this image in his head that she chose him. Yeah. And so, he wants that back. And that's like the formation of so many episodes where he's just trying these things. He's even like manipulating her, but not through his mind control, like manipulating her through different situations that he's putting her in. Trying to get her to choose him again because he's never experienced that before. He's never experienced that. And that's what he wants.
Yeah. And then toward like one of the last 3 episodes, Jessica Jones finally tells him what actually happened, that she did not stay because she wanted to. She was going to leave, but for whatever reason, she like couldn't, and then he regained control of her. So he thought that she wanted to stay with him, but he really just controlled herself, or he controlled her. Yeah. But fantastic show. Kilgrave was definitely a good villain.
I was going to say, how would you rank Kilgrave to other villains that we've seen in the Marvel universe?
Well, at first I'm like, I don't even like him that much. Like, his power's kind of cool, but then, like, they're like really dark themes, like sexual assault, murder, suicide, stuff like that.
And not even like normal murder. It's like gruesome murder where you're making them kill themselves.
And he's like literally crazy because he thinks that Jessica Jones wants him.
Psychotic.
And all these other things. And it gets really action-packed towards the end, and it's awesome.
It is.
He's good. I mean, he's better than Obadiah from Iron Man 1.
I agree.
He's better than the Lizard from Spider-Man.
I agree.
He's better than the Goblin from Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The kid, the teenager.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that too.
Electro is pretty good, but...
is he better than Red Skull?
Yeah, what did Red Skull do? Like, nothing.
I mean, he's just like the classic Nazi.
Yeah.
Like, evil dude.
Better than Loki?
See, I don't know. They're similar in the way that they, like, manipulate things.
If Avengers was not rated PG-13, I think Loki could have been equivalent to Kilgrave.
Yeah.
To the Purple Man. Mm-hmm. But I think because the Jessica Jones is rated like R or whatever, it's darker.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
They have
it allows it to be dark.
It allows it to be more fleshed out. Where Loki is more like everybody bow to me, and everybody's like I'm going to bow to you,
right?
As opposed to like everybody kill yourself, and then everybody like literally kills himself, which happens in Jessica Jones.
Well, I just think of Loki in the newer Thor movie too, and how he like.
I still haven't seen that.
You haven't seen it?
The Dark World? No.
I think you can't judge Loki unless you've seen that one because he's like a pretty big character in it. So I have a lot more respect for Loki after seeing that movie as a villain than from the Avengers. Because in the Avengers, he's like a crappy villain. Yeah. Right? Like, he's mad, and he's like spoiled.
He's a top villain. Comparable to the Kingpin and brutality.
From Daredevil?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. That's hard, because the Kingpin is like brute force. I'm going to crush your face in my door, the door of my car.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's just straight up fear and hatred is like his motivation. Kilgrave has that psychotic side to it where he's kind of unpredictable at times. And there's sometimes I found myself actually feeling bad for him.
There's one episode where he's like,
when they
my
reveal
parents
all the
treated
stuff
me bad and all this other stuff. But even with that, there's a scene or a couple episodes where Kilgrave reproduces Jessica Jones's house. Mm-hmm. Specifically, like, everything inside of it is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. And then he hires, like, 2 chefs. And he invites Jessica Jones over. And Jessica Jones comes over by her own free will, which enhances Kilgrave's, like, desire. Yeah. He's like,
she chose me.
She chose me. But she only chose him so that he would stop hurting people.
Right.
But every once in a while, she had this freedom where she could go out and go for a walk to clear her head or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the 2 housekeepers, Kilgrave would be like, if you don't see Jessica Jones in 2 hours, you're going to, like, scratch out your eyeballs type of thing. Right. So, like, you can kind of feel something for him, but then he does something stupid like that. Right. Like, there's this one awesome scene, where Jessica Jones convinces him to be a hero. Yeah. There's a standoff in a house. A guy is holding a shotgun to his daughter and son and his wife. Yeah. And Kilgrave literally just walks in. He Jedi mind tricks the police. Yeah. And then he walks in and he's like, stop. And the guy stops. And Jessica Jones is there with him. And Kilgrave essentially says, put the shotgun in your mouth. And the guy does because he doesn't have a choice. Right. And then Jessica Jones is like, don't do that. You can't murder him. Right. So he's like, oh, well, I guess I can't. If I want to do this. Right. So the family leaves, and then he's like, okay, well, give yourself up. Instead of blowing your head off, give yourself up. Yeah. And Kilgrave is like, you're right, shotguns are kind of messy. So, like, his kind of reason for not killing the guy is just that it's messy. Right. Where Jessica Jones is like, she generally wants to save people, and she wants to help. Right. But she's a good person. She's had a bad situation in the past with Jewel where she can't. Right, and I think that it really does show, like, his obsessive nature with Jessica Jones because he's willing to do this for her. But I think it shows through that explanation that he can't be a hero. He's only doing it for the love of Jessica. Yeah. And he keeps playing on that idea. He's like, but Jessica, I can only be a hero with you. Yeah. And like he keeps making this argument trying to get her to help him to be a hero. But really, he can't be a hero because his motivations are all wrong. Well, it was so weird because at the end of the episode, like he's talking about how he enjoyed helping these people. Right. And Jessica Jones is like, yeah, I liked helping you. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, what's really going to happen here? And then at the very end of the episode, Jessica poisons all their food, or like knocks them out with like chloroform or whatever. Yeah. And then she takes him and she puts him in the cell. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, whoa, that's a twist that I didn't expect. Yeah. Because I almost expected her to like
keep working with him, trying to save people.
Yeah,
and then like he kind of starts getting back into the dark side of things. But
yeah. But no, she just like
not what
straight up didn't trust him at all, which I
Right.
guess is good for her.
Yeah.
But then there's some other characters. He was in that cell, the soundproof cell or whatever.
I think that's when it really starts to get dark. Like,
Yeah.
Before then, it is dark because he's like when she goes for the walk, I think he says, "You can't like stop looking for her or something." And
don't blink.
Don't blink. And then there's one part when she leaves that he says they're going to slit their throats so they don't see you in like 4
Peel
hours.
their face off. I think
That's
literally what it
peel
is.
each other's faces
Peel each
off.
other's face off.
It's
I
gross.
don't see her within 2
But
hours.
that's like he says it, but it doesn't happen. So it's not really that scary.
Yeah, but they're also. I think the fact is that they're minor characters.
Mhm.
So you're like, well, I don't really care about minor characters.
Right.
But then things start happening to major characters.
Yeah, dude, it gets nuts
Yeah.
once he gets into the cage. I think that's the turning point, really, to like
Right.
the action
Where it
starts
really
taking
picks
place.
up.
The maturity part of it
Uh-huh.
starts going at it. Because at one point he has his mom stab herself with scissors for every like day that.
For every year that they had been separated.
Yeah.
She's like, stab yourself.
And then
The whole point he's in the cage is
Yeah.
so that, well, this is a plot point too,
Mhm.
where this is contrasted to Daredevil. At the very beginning, Jessica does not want to. She wants to bring Kilgrave to justice. She needs to have proof that he can control people. So her plan is to put him in this soundproof cell and watch him manipulate people.
Yeah.
And then that will make proof so he can go to jail. But then towards the end, she wants to kill him. Whereas Daredevil wants to kill Kingpin in the very beginning, and then towards the end, he doesn't want to kill him.
Mhm.
So it's kind of contrasted, opposite
Right.
like that.
It is.
Which I thought was interesting.
It is interesting.
But that's the whole reason he's in the cell is that she can manipulate him so that he can get video evidence
That he has mind control.
that he has powers.
Yeah.
Which is really weird because they've referred to other superheroes in this movie and
Right.
all other movies.
So it shouldn't be that out of the ordinary.
Yeah. Especially with Loki, again, in Avengers when he makes everybody bow down.
Right.
And manipulate people. So
Exactly.
Well, this
Well,
kind of thing.
And that situation isn't mind control, really. It's out of fear, and he like makes mimics of himself, and they're all like freaking out. But I don't know. Overall, I'd say Jessica Jones is good. I think it's worth a watch.
Well, there's
For sure.
there's so many other characters too.
There's so many references
Luke
to
Cage.
the rest of the Marvel Universe.
Luke Cage is there, and he's awesome. Like,
They did a great job.
he's better than I expected.
They did a great job.
There's a thing that happens when Jessica Jones, I think this is like right when she decides not to be Jewel anymore.
Yeah.
Jessica Jones kills a woman, which is it was almost her desire because Kilgrave told her like get rid of her, and then Jessica Jones like pushed her and she died.
Right.
So there's a big conflict between Kilgrave and Jessica Jones later, where he's like, "I only told you to get rid of her, and you killed her."
Right.
And Jessica Jones is like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that I was in control at that time."
Right. Because that's another thing they play with is his words really do matter because they can interpret it however they will.
Yeah.
Which I think plays on when he tells her sister and
Patsy,
to like put a bullet in her skull,
in her head.
and so she's like trying to shoot a gun with no bullets in it, and so that Jessica like finds a bullet on the ground or something and puts it in her mouth and says, "Look, you have a bullet in your head."
Yeah, essentially, you have to do what he says, and then once you like realize that you've done it, you're free.
Yeah.
So like she had this desire to like put this bullet in her head, and she has a bullet in her hand.
Mhm.
She's trying to like punch it into her head, like through her ear or whatever.
That's what it was.
So
Yeah.
Jessica Jones like picks up the bullet and like puts it in her mouth. She's like, "Look, there's a bullet in your head. You did what he said. You're free now." Then she kind of like relaxes and clumps, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that was the worst experience of my life."
Right.
Which it would be.
Yeah.
So Luke Cage was there. He eventually gets mind control. Then he fights Jessica Jones,
And that's the worst.
which is pretty cool.
And the manipulation that he uses
So
crazy because you think at the beginning she asks him all these questions to see if he's mind controlled, and he's like answering all the questions like he wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And so it's like all the direct manipulations that he's done before. She kind of like asks questions to make sure that he's not mind controlled.
Yeah.
And so you go throughout the majority of the episode, and you don't think he's mind controlled, but he freaking is.
He is the whole time.
What a twist!
And then what's really cool is, I mean, Luke Cage has unbreakable skin. He is a product of the Weapon X program, which made Captain America who he is. They're trying to regenerate it. And Luke Cage is part of that. He has unbreakable skin. And the way that she defeats him is she puts a shotgun under his chin.
Yeah.
And, like, pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
And you think, wow, that would kill him. That would, like, blow his brains out. Didn't. He has unbreakable skin.
Right.
So really it's just, like,
It was
a
whiplash.
huge uppercut.
Right.
Gave him, like, a concussion.
Exactly.
So he was knocked out for, like, a whole episode. And, like, need help, which is a side thing that we don't really need to get into. But I'm like, that's so cool that
the way they did that. For sure.
Will Simpson, who is the police officer that went to kill Patsy and then became her lover, is an allegory for Nuke, who was another super soldier serum person. He's the guy that takes the pills.
I think it's like a red and a blue one.
Red, blue, and white. What about blue? I guess it's all about America. They're trying to redo the super soldier serum for America.
Yeah.
In the comics, he has American flag tattooed onto his face.
And he looks so creepy.
Yeah, he's creepy. He has like bullet wounds, like scars and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's trying to make the super soldier thing. And this one, essentially the red pill makes you super aggressive, like hyper aggressive. And then like the blue or white pill like brings you down a little bit. And what he did, he only took red pills.
Yeah.
So he eventually fights Jessica Jones and Patsy.
Yeah.
So that goes on, and they fight.
And it's kind of like a side story that's going on the whole time.
Yeah.
Which I really didn't think it fed into everything else very well. It just kind of seemed like a sideshow that, I mean, it related.
It included an action scene.
Right.
It kind of gave Patsy something to do to bring her into it.
Yeah, but I think overall, I wasn't like super impressed with him as a character. I guess I didn't know it was Nuke the whole time.
Yeah. He's a very irrelevant character.
Right,
like,
that's kind of how I feel about it.
You wouldn't know about him unless you like did research and stuff.
Yeah.
I also just remember that Patsy's name is Trish in the show.
That's it.
I've been calling her Patsy.
Yeah, because Kilgrave calls her Patsy.
Yeah. So that happens at the very end. The last two episodes, Trish and Jessica Jones are sisters by adoption. Trish's family, her mother adopted Jessica Jones
after the car accident.
After the car accident. The car accident we didn't mention killed all of Jessica Jones' family, but she got doused in that fluid, I guess, and became super.
We did talk about that.
So, at the very last couple episodes, Trish's mom is like, "Look, these are all the information I have on Jessica Jones and the accident that happened." And that tied into Nuke and his story. It was kind of the same thing they were looking at. They both kind of came from like the same. I assume Nuke was part of that super soldier serum compound, and what Jessica Jones crashed into was probably like waste from that.
Yeah,
which then made her strong or whatever. Alias Investigations and Malcolm. What did you think about Malcolm, the black guy, and her neighbor?
Well, I thought he had an interesting story. He kind of got annoying, though, I feel. I mean, in the beginning, he's just a druggie.
Yeah. And
I didn't understand it. Especially, and the sister of the...
Oh, I hated her.
She was emotional.
The girl upstairs.
But he was kind of one-dimensional. Like, once he switched, or once he got off drugs and she helped him, like, he was very one-dimensional.
Dude, I loved his story. He was a super druggie that lived in her apartment. I'm like... And it kind of gave her the setting of like, wow, she's in a rundown apartment. There's druggies everywhere. Yeah. But it showed that she was a good person. She would help him out. She would be like, he would like pass out in the elevator and she would take him to his apartment.
Right.
Or he would be in her apartment because he thought her apartment was his.
Right.
And she would always help him. And it generated this truthful factor of like, she's a good person.
Right.
And he was a druggie. And I'm like, well, first of all, he has the craziest awesome hair.
He does have some sick hair.
Awesome hair.
I love it.
And then later, about halfway through the episode, you find out that he's been Kilgrave the whole time.
Right.
And that he's been taking photographs of Jessica because Kilgrave is obsessed with her, so he wants all these photographs.
Right. Which is super creepy.
And then as soon as Jessica finds out that he's been Kilgraved, she kind of weans him off of it and weans him off of drugs, cold turkey.
Right. Because that's what he was using to manipulate him.
Right. And then, like, he becomes a completely different character after he's off drugs.
I mean, he becomes, like, the leader in the support group for people who've been attacked by Kilgrave or manipulated by Kilgrave. But I just felt like he got annoying, honestly.
You thought he was annoying? I thought he was awesome.
I mean, yeah, it's just, like, through the whole thing, he's like, you need to talk about it. We talk about your feelings. I was like, shut up.
But they can't do anything else.
I know. It just got annoying, because it was, like, the same thing over and over again. Like, if he did that once, it'd be fine. But I felt like he kept hashing it out and being like... I don't know. Again, I thought it was irrelevant, and I wanted more action in the series, and there was definitely a lack of action for the majority of the series.
Yeah, there wasn't as many fights as in Daredevil.
Right.
But Daredevil is a boxer brawler,
right?
And Jessica Jones doesn't want to use her powers at all.
Right.
So that's why.
I mean, definitely different type of story, and that's why, like, if I had to choose between Daredevil and Jessica Jones, I'd pick Daredevil. like to watch because it's just more exciting. Not that Jessica Jones isn't good, because I definitely think it's good, and I think it's also good for the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
I think it's good that they did this, and I like how they're expanding into television. They're doing a good job so far.
Netflix.
And for more mature audiences, too. Because Marvel, I think before Daredevil, really was very kid-friendly.
PG-13.
PG-13, and, like, very comic booky but by comic booky, I mean, like, no blood, like, let's punch Hitler in the face, like, classic, okay, like, no dark themes, really. And comics definitely have shifted to where now they can be for kids and also for adults. Mm-hmm. And I think now we're seeing that same diversity from the comic books, where there's some that are for kids and some for adults. And now we're seeing that in television and movies. And I love that. I like that. It brings more diversity to it. And that's why I like the Batman series and some of the DC stuff, because it was darker. And I like that. And now Marvel's doing some darker stuff, and I'm enjoying it.
To wrap this up, Malcolm, then kind of at the very last scene, Malcolm partners with Jessica Jones. Yeah. And her PI firm has been in alias investigations the whole time. Yeah. But she finally got it fixed up. As soon as, she kills Kilgrave in the end. Spoiler.
I mean, we just gave it. Yeah.
We
already said spoiler alert. I know.
It's free. I can say whatever I want.
I know, but that's like the climax.
I can say whatever I want. We said spoiler alert. That's the rule.
That is
spoiler
the rule.
alert.
I'm sorry, Tony.
Anyway, so she kills Jessica Jones kills Kilgrave. And then everyone, like, they're on this pier, and Kilgrave has, like, controlled, like, 20 people. Mm-hmm. And they all saw her do it, and they're all like, well, what happened? Because I was controlled, and now I'm not. So she doesn't really get in trouble. Yep. But then they go out and tell people, and they tell her about Jessica Jones. They say about a lot alias investigations. Mm-hmm. So at the very end, she's getting all these phone calls.
She's got all these voicemails.
And Malcolm is an assistant.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
So she's finally, like, kind of doing her PI thing and helping people, like what she wanted to do. Mm-hmm. However, everyone knows she's Jessica Jones. Right. So what's the tie into Civil War?
I have no idea.
With her secret identity, which isn't secret, everybody knows who it is.
Oh.
So, registered or not registered, is Jessica Jones going to make an appearance in Civil War? Are they going to mention her? Or what's going to go on?
I feel like they should.
Because she would essentially be on Iron Man's side, you would think? Because everyone knows who Iron Man is. She's in the... Mm-hmm. Like, somehow people don't know who Captain America is. People don't know who, like, the Scarlet Witch is. Things like that. Mm-hmm. Falcon. But Jessica Jones, her name is Jessica Jones. People know. Luke Cage, people know his name is Luke Cage. Right. The Iron Fist, Danny Rand, people don't know his name is Danny Rand. Right. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully there's a tie-in to Civil War. Hopefully they mention it.
I think it'd only help. Even if it's just a mention. Civil
War is the next Marvel movie. So hopefully there's a mention to Daredevil. Hopefully there's a mention to Jessica Jones. We did not say, however, Jessica Jones takes place in Hell's Kitchen, which is where Daredevil takes place. Right. There's one specific tie-in at the very end
with the nurse.
With the nurse that helps Daredevil also helps Luke Cage, and she's like, "I've done this all before. Like this isn't new to me. I've seen you guys before." So that was nice. At first, when I saw her, I'm like, "Why she look so familiar? She must be."
I know. I couldn't figure out right at first.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. Like I don't watch that show, and then I'm like, "Oh wait, she helps Daredevil with all of his stuff." It's interesting that. Well, I don't know if it's interesting, but people have been talking about how does Jessica Jones not know about Daredevil? Like, what do you mean? Because Daredevil isn't that popular. Like, he's like a night ninja, right? Right. He's like Batman. So, not a lot. He's not supposed to be known. He's really been fighting Kingpin, and that's like his whole thing.
That's it. Right.
Where Jessica Jones has really been fighting Kilgrave, and that's like all. They're not fighting like the invasion force of New York. Right. So, they're not as popular as Iron Man, as Hulk, as Captain America, as Thor.
Right. Because they're not taking the limelight.
Right.
They're not news probably isn't reporting on it, all that.
So, they're fighting the small fights in the city, whereas the Avengers are fighting the global fights. Right. So, maybe we'll talk more about Jessica Jones in our next episode. Maybe once we have some more time to think about it. I finished it rather quickly. It took you a little bit.
It did. But it took me another week and a half, I would say. Yeah, and that is the reason why. I went into it with high hopes.
And it was. I mean, I think it met expectations.
By the end, it did. I think the first episodes are slow. I would say I would recommend this to a friend.
Yes. It also made me want to watch Daredevil again, which I might do.
I actually thought the same thing.
I'm like, man, I really want to watch Daredevil. Well, I think that's it for this episode. Next week's episode, we don't know yet.
You'll find out, so tune in. So please, if you would, share, like, tweet, email us, do all sorts of those things.
Put your right hand in.
Put your right hand out.
Put your right hand in.
And then shake it all about. If you have any questions or would like us to read your electronic letters, you can send that to our email address at underpaidgamerspodcast@gmail.com.
We have a Twitter at UPGamersPodcast.
We are on SoundCloud. So if you're on SoundCloud and you're listening to us, that's awesome.
Congratulations.
Comment, like us, and it has that cool feature where you can comment at different parts of the video, so you can join the conversation.
Yes. We love that. We're on SoundCloud. We're on iTunes, free download, Stickter, and IGN Forums.
Yep, there it is. Occasionally IGN Forums.
So thanks for listening. We will see you again next time. Adios.